Hi there, I'm Keng from DataN, a company that does training on data journalism. Today, I have both good news and bad news from Malaysia to share with you. Would you like to hear the good one or the bad one first? Let's start with the good one first, all right? Same like other countries during the COVID-19 pandemic, in Malaysia, we saw a rise of misinformation during the pandemic. So according to a local researchers, Haris Zainul from the Institute of International and Strategic Studies Malaysia, he analyzed all the debunks and clarifications made by sebenarnya.my, which is a government agency, that fact check online misinformation during the pandemic. So you can see from the chart here, most of the claims, the false claims, were related to authorities' actions, as well as the spread of community. The data is from January to June this year. And according to the researcher, this is because, at the initial state of the lockdown in Malaysia, there were a lot of confusion and miscommunication coming from the government side. So that gave opportunity for misinformation to spread. However, there's a good thing that we observed during the same period is that we saw a higher awareness, on the issue of misinformation within Malaysia community. There were more online events organized by media publications, universities, NGOs in different languages, to talk about the issue of misinformation in Malaysia. And finally, this year we are going to have two, which is also our first fact-checking initiative by the journalists in Malaysia. The first one is called My Check Malaysia. It was started by a group of journalists under the National News Agency, Bernama. The second one is called Fact Check Lab. It is an independent organization also started by a group of journalists, and they're going to launch our website next month. So whoever wants to get in touch with them, please let me know. I can make the introduction. Now let's go to the evil side of misinformation. The misinformation in Malaysia also led to an online campaign against the Rohingya refugees in Malaysia, as well as foreign workers in Malaysia. There were misinformation spreading around, claiming that the leaders of those refugees are now demanding full citizenship, demanding equal rights, and old photos were recycled, to label them as troublemakers, violent and aggressive. And some Malaysian citizens, some Malaysians even set up Facebook pages that aims to pressure the government to take strict actions against the refugees and foreign workers, right? Some of those pages became very, very popular. So look at this. This one attracted almost 100,000 members, before they were banned by Facebook. But that doesn't stop them from setting up more Facebook, but now this time in secrets and private groups, which makes it harder to track and monitor. That was coming from the community, right? And we also have problems coming from the government. In March this year, we had a change of government, not through election, but through internal defections, within the ruling coalition. So some of those defectors have formed a new government with the political parties that were defeated in the last general election in 2018. So this new government brought back some bad habits from the old administrations, and one of them is the crackdown against media freedom in Malaysia. One of the cases is South China Morning Post. The journalist published a story about how undocumented workers were arrested during the pandemic by the government of Malaysia. And that prompted an investigation from the police, and the journalists were questioned by the police. However, eventually our Minister of Communication came out to defend the journalists, and that's the end of the case, right? There was no further action taken. But this was not the case for Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera has published a mini documentary during the pandemic, which is about how foreign workers, undocumented workers, were mistreated by the enforcement agencies in Malaysia. And again, the police started an investigation, raided their office in Kuala Lumpur, took away all their computers, and also questioned their journalists, right? Our defense minister even demanded an apology from Al Jazeera, right? The case is still pending. We are not sure what is the outcome yet. So that is all from me on Malaysia.